Christine, remember when you were a kid and you thought that your career was going to be this like perfect straight line trajectory?
Oh my, yes. That is not at all what happened. It ended up being way more of a squiggle than I could have ever imagined. And I am so happy that I embraced all of the squiggles along the way.
Welcome back to Embrace the Squiggle. We are Colleen.
And Christine.
And Happy New Year to everybody. This is dropping on New Year's Eve. So excited for that. Today, I am super excited because we have Jenna Anderson on. And for as many of you know, I've been kind of working with our TikTok for a while now, and I keep finding some of our favorite guests lately on TikTok. And Jenna is one of those folks, right? She popped up in my feed because she was really talking about how people make some great friendships, how people make connections, and really helping people do that. So this is, a little bit different. We're going to find out about Jenna's career, but I think we're also going to hear a lot about how do people actually make friends in this day and age. So Jenna, welcome to our podcast.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. All right. So we start all of this with what did little Jenna think she was going to be, right? When you were a little kid, what were you thinking that you were going to be when you grew up?
That is actually a really fun question. And ever since I started doing what I'm doing now, I often think about it because when I was a kid, I wanted to do so many different things. So I grew up in London, England when I was younger, and I wanted to be a marine biologist when I was living there. And I was into everything whales and dolphins. Like every time my parents passed by like a jewelry store and there was a dolphin, I'm like, I want that. Like I loved marine biology and I loved all things like animals. And then after living in London, my family moved to San Diego, and we were so close to Los Angeles and like the Hollywood culture, and I got really into filmmaking. And I, in middle school, wanted to be a screenwriter, director, producer combo, which is like the golden combo in the industry. And so I did everything film. I went to film camps like all throughout middle school and high school. Like every summer, I was at a different film program at a different university. And I still love that. Like I still love writing. I love talking about film and TV, and I love watching movies and TV shows. And in college, I did spend a bit of time working in the industry and kind of realized it wasn't really for me. People didn't treat each other very well, and I did not like that. And, there's only so much that's in your control when you're working in an industry and like how it works and how people treat each other. And so I dipped my toes into that and was like, no, this isn't for me. And it's great because I get to still, not be jaded by that industry, and I get to love it and experience all the joy in it without having to work at it. So that's what I like to say.
I love that.
Yeah. And so when you were in college, did you like do any internships? Like, did you start to get that feeling while you were still studying this that you were like, ooh, maybe this isn't going to be the right fit? Or were you still like super excited when you graduated?
I was super excited up until I think my sophomore, maybe midway through junior year, of working in Hollywood and like being surrounded by film all the time. But I did work a internship at this really cool company. It no longer exists anymore, but it was up in Playa Vista, and it was like a media entertainment company. We worked with creators and we worked with producers and directors, and I just saw a lot of toxicity kind of happening in the background, and people getting yelled at and like for no reason and for like very small things, and just like people not treated very nicely. And I'm like, I have self-respect. I'm like, I'm the kind of person where you cannot give that to me and I will not take it. And so I just was like, what is the future I really want to build for myself here? And like, does it involve being yelled at every day by somebody? And I'm like, no, it doesn't.
It's that leadership thing again.
Right. Bad bosses, they ruin it for everybody.
They really do.
It's like, what I like to say is that you always have a choice to be kind, and you always have a choice to support other people and be forgiving. And if you don't make that choice, that will directly reflect who you are. So
Mic
true.
Drop. Yep.
There you go.
Okay, we're done. Bye,
I'm
everyone.
done leaving.
Okay.
No, I love that, right? Like we in every micro moment of every day, we have choice as to how we want to show up, how we want to engage, and how we want to create an experience for others. And it just is gobsmacking that individuals are allowed to be in leadership positions and continue to treat people unkindly. Never mind everything else, just simply unkindly.
Yeah, and get away with it too because they have all that power. And so
Mhm.
I there was a split second when I was a screenwriting major in college for the record. There was a split second where I was like, what if I like went into teaching like better leadership skills in entertainment and for like how people can treat each other better? And I'm like, I think everyone's ego would be severely insulted by me being like, you're a mean person and you need to learn how to not be a mean person.
You know what though? Like sometimes people need to hear that, and whether or not they're ready, that's the
That's on them.
difference. That's
Mm.
the difference between can I actually have this conversation with someone versus can I not? I had a client recently that I called out being egotistical. And that was a defining moment for her, but she was ready to hear it again. She'd already been told it.
Mm.
And then I came in and I was like, actually, yes, you do lead from ego. And she carried that through our entire 6-month engagement or 4-month engagement. And at the end of our engagement, I said to her, like, what is your biggest takeaway from our time working together? And she said, you told me that I lead from ego. And so now she's got something, she now has choice as to whether or not she wants to shift that behavior or not. And so, sometimes people need to hear it.
Yeah, no, it's true. So I don't know. Maybe that's still in my future, telling
Maybe
executives and producers just be nicer.
All right.
kindness
So
doesn't
you,
cost anything.
Mm,
except their egos.
yeah.
That's okay.
So you get out of the film industry, right?
Mhm.
After that first job. What did you do then?
Um, I thought about going into marketing. So, halfway through college, I was like, okay, like what other industries out there allow me to be creative and, still work in a fast-paced environment? And I looked into like advertising and marketing. And so I, after college, started working for an Amazon marketing agency and kind of worked my way out of a not so creative position into a more creative position where I was a content coordinator for the Amazon marketing agency. And I have this habit of making my own positions at companies. Every time I've worked at one, I've
Mm.
been like,
Fantastic.
if you've got this need to fill, like, let me help you because I have the skill set. And so the brands that we were working with at this Amazon marketing agency needed help with their storytelling on their product pages and like optimizing that. And so I'd go and help them with their copy. I'd work with my team on like creating a better story around their product to like help with sales. And, it was really fun. And there was a point where, I thought about doing something else after that as well. So
Can I jump in here, Jenna? Because I think that that's a really great thing to share with our audience. Is how did you how did you begin those conversations? Because I know Colleen and I both have conversations like this on a regular basis, and I'm always met with, "I can do that. I can create my own role. I can write my own job description. Yes, absolutely. You know, pitch it." The answer might be yes, the answer might be no, the answer might be let's meet in the middle. But I would love for you to share your story in terms of where you found how did you know to do that, find the courage, and then open the door to those conversations.
Yeah, so a lot of it was just listening. So I was just hearing a lot of problems that our clients were having. You can push as much advertising and marketing as you want. Like you can spend all of the ad and, get your ad in front of people, but if it's not telling the right story, if it's not empathizing with your ideal client, then it's not going to work. You're not going to make a sale. You're not going to solve their problem. And so I was just listening for a while. And then also, I was working like a pretty not creative role, and I wanted to do something more creative because I am at nature a very creative person. And so I was like, okay, like this is where I'm at in this company. I don't necessarily want to leave yet. How can I, give myself more fulfillment and like more satisfaction in my job, but also solve a problem? And so I was really close with our head of HR at the time, and we were just talking about possible options for me and like my career path. And, I just laid out a bunch of ideas that I had. And then she took that to one of my managers, and they just created a role for me. And so I think the courage comes from realizing like what do you really want out of your career, and you may not even be working in the most creative industry, but like what can you do to satisfy yourself in that role and to make something where your position's more enjoyable. And so like that courage comes from just sharing your ideas.
So the aspect of being vulnerable, and having those
Mhm.
open and honest conversations. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that.
And if you
Good for
are
you.
met with pushback, like that might be your sign to go somewhere else where those ideas are more, respected and are acknowledged, and maybe there's action to be taken behind them too.
Well, and people give away the power of their career. And, I have these conversations all the time. Like, who has the power of your career, you or the company or your boss? And 9 times out of 10, my client doesn't have the power of their own career. And so, I love that. I love that you just sort of threw it out to the ether, and it doesn't sound like you were attached to an outcome. And it was like, okay, either or, like, I can't lose here because I get information as to what do I need to do next to find the fulfillment.
Right. Exactly.
I also love that when Christine asked you that, you started with, I was listening to the client, right? You were listening to the needs. And right, that's such a skill that so many people don't have, or they need to really work on that skill of listening.
Mhm.
And when I think of
Yeah.
what you do now, which we can jump into, right? That, that skill has kind of threaded everything that you've done, right? You've had that skill of really listening to people.
Yeah, I have not had a very linear career, and actually after that position I did a bunch of other things before I became a coach and what I'm doing today. And so that does come from listening, like hearing problems in the world and then thinking about how I can solve them. And like that's why my career is not so linear.
Here,
And
fun fact, Jenna, very few people's are, right? Like, I feel like everyone thinks their career is going to be linear, but
it's
most of us,
not.
right, it's a squiggle. It's kind of how we landed on the name, right? Is that our careers are this like mishmash of things, but it's only
Yeah.
looking back that you start to see that thread that really ties it all together, right?
It really is just learning about yourself and what you really want for your life. Like I grew up in a European country at the time. It is no longer part of Europe, sadly. But I have this European mentality where like we do not live to work. We work to help us make a living. And so your job is not who you are. It's just finding something that you can enjoy or at least tolerate that is going to make you money and that is going to be fulfilling for you. And so that in and of itself, I think takes a lot of the pressure off too. But that's just how I like to see my career sometimes as well. Like it's never linear. It's just, try and listen to yourself and try and do what is best for you. And that takes learning.
So, I mean, that's not the norm for the majority of humans in North America. And so, what would be your words of wisdom in this moment on that piece around how do I work to live and how do I not let my career become my identity?
Yeah. It's not easy. I'll just say that. Like when you live in a country where a lot of people judge you by what you do for work, and every second question when you meet somebody is, what do you do for work?
I
And
know.
like it really is in this country. Like you are
Yeah.
always asked, what are you doing for work? As if it is like part of who you are.
Yeah.
And I think the best thing that you can do is sit with yourself and realize all the other things that you are that are not your job. Like, I am an amazing friend. I am an amazing daughter. I'm a great girlfriend. I love baking and I love cooking. Like I love all these other things that give me joy in life that are not my work. And I just talk about those things more in the narrative of my head, like in like
Love
talking
it.
to myself. And I'm not going to say that it's easy, because it's not. And I learned this just recently, like very recently, and I can get into that story a little later. But it does take practice of, you know, how much of your self narrative or your internal dialogue is about your career and how much of it really attaches to who you are.
Yeah, I love that. Well, let's just roll into that piece of the story.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, let's just do
All
it.
right. Let's see. Where should I even start? Yeah, this is new for me to talk about, actually.
Love it.
So let me start with an identity crisis I had like last year, like maybe like a year and a half ago. But I was a project manager at a tech company, and the tech company was getting very, very difficult to work at. There was just a lot of happening, too many clients, too many projects. And I just looked at myself in the mirror one day and was just like, is this how I want to be defined? Like, do I want to be defined as the person who's just like a project manager and who is working this job for people who are much richer than her and who like don't give me any meaning in the projects that I'm working on? Like, do I want to be defined by that? And then I ended up working with a career coach on, you know, what I really wanted out of my career. And career coaches are amazing. I highly recommend working with them. And she made me realize that like I was, you know, working on TikTok, like my TikTok channel on teaching people how to make friends. She's like, why not make that into a job? And I'm like, that sounds fun. And so I, you know, came up with a kind of a plan of doing that. But then, you know, hit this really dark period of my life where like I felt like everything was too much. Like my projects were too much at work, and I wasn't putting enough time into building this business. And I really started to get down on like who I was. And that was a really dark period of my life. Then I got laid off. So back in October of 2024, I got laid off. And you know what? I kind of gave myself 2 months of just, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to just exist. And, you know, I had the privilege of doing that. I had the savings to do it. Not everyone does have that option, but I'm just like, I'm just going to be with myself. I'm going to like paint all day and bake and be with my family. And that was lovely. And I had that time. And then I got bored. So then it got into, you know, okay, I've been giving people advice on TikTok on how to make friends. Like, I don't want to be poor and I don't want to run out of money. So, like, how do I make this into something that is profitable and like maybe I could make money out of it and like make a living off of it? And so in February of 2025, I just got started. I like started making a website. I started getting clients, and I have been doing that for 9 months. And up until recently, I'm also now having this new dialogue of, you know, who is it that I really want to be? Like, being an entrepreneur is not easy. I think a lot of people, it's not,
I
it
mean,
is
welcome.
not,
speaking to your
Well-
people. Yeah.
Welcome
really-
to your club, to the club.
yeah, it is not easy. And I think actually I've got a lot to say on this. And I'll kind of speak about it after, but like being an entrepreneur is not easy. You are constantly working. And if you're not constantly working, you're thinking about working and you're thinking about all the things that you have to do. And the to-do list never ends. And until you hit a point financially where you can delegate, you are doing everything on your own. And I think that our country and like the state of careers right now are really idolizing that. Like, they're really idolizing working for yourself and like quit your 9 to 5. Don't go work for a company. Like, make your own schedule, make 10 times your salary. Like, they're selling us all this narrative when they're not really being realistic about all the work that has to go in behind that. And so when I think about what's going to make me happy and moving forward, I'm like, is it constantly working? Is it really like, again, I have that European mentality. Like, is it constantly having to think about my business and think about what's next for me? And, you know, when am I going to make my next client? How much income am I going to make next month or next quarter? I'm now starting to have this dialogue of, is there a way I can have stable income and, you know, maybe work part-time somewhere that I really enjoy and then still also have my business? And the identity like crisis kind of came back in a little wave recently, because I'm like, oh no, like, are other people going to think I failed? Are other people going to think that like my business isn't successful and like that's why I'm going to take another job, when really it's like,
No.
what do I really want for myself? Do I want, yeah, it's the kind of the
And the
balance of
change,
things.
well, and it changes.
Mhm.
There's also the values, and it's like, okay, entrepreneurship is an ebb and a flow.
Mhm.
And, yeah, you're constantly checking in, and all of the things that you just named will not make you a failure, because what I'm hearing is you're just simply checking in. Like, it's like a heart check-in of, is this working for me? Is this serving me? Is there something that I need to change or shift or add or subtract, right? It's all about
Mhm.
saying yes versus saying no, because we can't say yes to everything. And so, if people are judging you 9 months later because you went and took a part-time position, that's on them,
Mhm.
right? Like, and this has been a real mind shift for me, to really not get hooked up in, well, this person's doing that and this person's doing that and da 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 da, and I need to, or should, I can't tell you how many times I've shoulded myself. And it's only in the last very short amount of time where I'm learning, and it's still hard some days to like let go and to really make decisions that are best for me. And so I commend you, and I just admire that you are 9 months in saying, okay, I'm doing this and I love it. Yet what might be missing?
I feel very validated and seen that you said that. Thank you, because this is something that's very recent that I've been going through. And
Mm-hmm.
like just on Monday, I was having a conversation with one of my best friends from New York about this, and like we were both 30, and we like really dived into like that feeling of being stuck and not knowing really
Normal.
what's next, and kind of that like the vague future that we're trying to craft for ourselves. And so I feel very seen after you said that. Thank you.
Well, and the other piece you're very welcome. The other piece I want to name is that entrepreneurship forces you to get comfortable in sitting in the unknown.
Mhm.
And so it's like, again, choice, right? In that moment of, I get to choose. Do I want to actually sit in the space of unknown, or do I want to shift back to something that is a little bit more known, or do I want to add a little known to the unknown, or whatever that makeup looks like? But if you are 100% a solopreneur, entrepreneur, you have no choice but to get comfortable with the unknown.
Mhm. And it's not for everyone, like I will say.
No,
And I'm
no.
not saying it's not for me. I'm also realizing and being self-aware that I'm 30. That's very young. I have so much time to do different things, and maybe I'll go work for a Fortune 500 company and then be like, I'm going to start this other business. Like you don't know. And I think
Well,
it's a
And you
lot
can
of
also
just
pop in and out of it. I've
yeah,
yeah.
seen
I was
so
just
many
going to
people.
say
Yeah.
that. Thank you, Colleen.
So
Thank you
many
for calling
people
that out.
pop in and out, right? There are people who do start businesses and stay with them from now until they
Mhm.
die, right? But a lot of, I mean, I work with a lot of entrepreneurs. A lot of the coaching I do, a lot of the training I do, I work with a lot of particularly women entrepreneurs. And
Mhm.
a lot of them are going in and out. A lot of them are taking, particularly this past year, I had a conversation. There was 10 of us who are entrepreneurs who had a conversation yesterday. And the conversation really landed on, God, 2025 sucked. Right? Like it was like over and
Hard.
over again,
Rough.
right? It was hard. It was
It's hard.
right. There was so many kind of ebbs and flows of who has money, who doesn't have money, what companies, like how many people I knew who thought they had these contracts that were,
Mm.
airtight, that they were going to have forever, that got put on hold with just all the uncertainty in the US. And I know it's worldwide too, but these all happen to be US entrepreneurs. And so
Mhm.
everybody was saying, right, it was a really tricky year. I will say on the plus side, most of us are seeing the needle start to move, right? A lot of us are
Yeah.
seeing a lot more people starting to reach out for contracts, a lot more possibilities starting to happen. Um, so we're all
Yeah.
keeping our fingers crossed at the moment.
Yeah, and I think it's also good that I recognize that I've only been doing this for 9 months, like, in the
Mhm.
grand scheme of things, my business is like an infant, it's a baby,
Right.
it's a child
Like a
when
day
it comes
old,
to
right?
yeah, and especially in the coaching field, like, you need to get the hours in, and that does take, like, 2 years until you're, like, at a position where you're making the money that you wanna be making, and so, it just requires a lot of patience. I'm not saying I necessarily don't have that, but it's that,
But it takes time. Okay.
it
So
takes
it
time.
well, it does take time. And Jenna, I want to bring us back just so we don't run out of time because Christine and I tend to get excited about these things and
Yeah.
go too long. But we still haven't heard what you do now. So let's talk about what you
Okay.
actually do. Well, not actually,
Yes.
what you're doing now and kind of how that's connecting to all of this. Because we're talking about entrepreneurship in this like fluffy area here. But let's
Right.
really talk about what you do because it is unique.
So I
Very
am a
unique.
friendship coach. I help people make new friends. Specifically,
Cool.
that is the niche of the friendship world that I'm in. So if you're somebody who, you don't have your group of friends, or maybe you just moved to a new city, or maybe you just have always struggled to maintain your friendships, I work with you on doing that. I think there's a huge loneliness epidemic happening in the world right now. And, we're so tied to social media and all the micro socializing we do on there that we don't think about the in real life connections that we could be making and the more satisfying those relationships could be. And so,
Oh,
I work very intimately with my clients on, what is really blocking you from making the kind of friends and forming the kind of community that you want to. And then we work on a plan that's specifically for them.
love it. That's super niche.
Yeah.
How cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I've
really cool.
always been good at doing it. And so if I can, spread that joy and give people that skill, because friendship is a skill, then
It
Hmm.
is.
I think it's very satisfying.
And I feel like we
Yeah.
have the double whammy as adults right now, right? That as adults, it's always been a little bit trickier to make friends, right? It's
Mhm.
not like you're 6 years old and run up onto a playground and you're like, we have the same t shirt on and therefore we're best friends,
Yeah.
right? Like it's a
Love
little
it.
odd if you do that as an adult, right? Combined with the whole social media piece where people think they have friends, right?
Yeah.
Right? They
We're
think they
fake
have
friends.
friends, right? Or like all of a sudden they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh yeah, I have a ton of friends. I have, 5,000 followers." And you're like, "Well, they're not your friends."
Yeah.
And that whole piece, I've watched lots of my friends struggle with it. I'm at the age where a lot of my friends have kids who've gone off to college, and all of a sudden they realized all of their friendships were like the parents of the kids who were on the same sports team as their
Hmm.
children. And now
Mhm.
that their kids are
Yeah.
gone, these are not people that they would ever choose to be their friends.
Yeah. And it really is like where you are in your life. Cause I have worked with moms and I've worked with people right out of college. Like the demographic of the age I work with is pretty ranging. And I've worked with men and all in between. And so it really is about that skill again of like forming community and how you and as an individual do that. Like, are you more on the introverted side? Does it mean that maybe it's going to take you a little bit longer to warm up to people? What does that look like for you? What are moments where you feel the most connected and how can you find those? And it's different for everybody. And so knowing that about yourself, I think is incredibly important.
And there's the element of, again, pushing yourself out into the unknown. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, right now I'm living in a different city and I've been coming here for 16 years. And now, granted, a number of those years were just vacation, like in and out for 7 to 10 days, whatever. Now that I'm an entrepreneur, I have more freedom, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, this trip, I'm like, I need to start putting some roots down and like being really intentional about it because I can just get super cozy and into my routine because it's actually not much different than being in Vancouver. I mean, the only difference is I get to actually ride my bike outside
Mhm.
and not on the trainer inside while it rains. But outside of that, everything else is just like life in Vancouver. And this block of time I'm like, I got to get really intentional about creating some roots. And it doesn't matter if you're 6 years old on the playground or 20 something or 40 or 50 something. Like it friendship cycle, and we move just like you named, and it's hard, yet it's kind of exciting. And I actually just had an aha moment sitting here. It's kind of like entrepreneurship. It's like I've actually committed to something tomorrow. Well, I've committed to myself for it. And it's like I have no idea what I'm going to show up to, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to finally do it and see what happens. So I really love that. I love that niche that you're carving out, because let's just call out social media like it is bullshit connections.
It's
They
also just
really
draining.
are.
It's really draining as well. Like,
Oh,
I
it's
don't mean to go back to
brutal.
talk about my career, but, like, I've realized how much I don't like being on social media, but
Oh, me
that is
too.
that
Oh
is
my
where I
God.
find my clients though, because they're
Mhm.
all on there because 'cause they're not out with people, and so I'm, like, struggling to find this balance for myself of, like,
Oh,
how do I be on it without being on it?
It's a
well,
struggle because,
Mhm.
right,
having,
and the other part with social media is that it rewards the more you're there, right? So
oh
if you are
God,
an entrepreneur and you
totally.
are trying to get your information out to groups that you might not other reach, right, you
Mm-hmm.
have to be on. And
Yeah.
it's interesting to kind of play those games because I've done it with some of the platforms where it's like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to post and go away. Like I post and
Yeah.
leave and I post and leave and it
Yeah.
goes nowhere. I post and I scroll for a half hour, all of a sudden I have 2,000 views.
I know, and there's all these,
Right.
like, content gurus telling you, like, you've gotta post 3 times a day and engage on their profiles, and also make sure you send and share your own videos, like, offline, and all these things, and it's like, okay, then, like, what time do I have for myself to, like, I don't know, go make lunch or, like,
Yeah.
go, like,
Mhm.
breathe? Like, it's
It's
overwhelming, and
so true.
I think people are starting to really see that actually, and I think there's gonna be some kind of wave of revolt soon.
Yeah, I think
Well,
it's starting for sure. And, the having to actually get out in real life and,
Mhm.
exactly what you're doing. So, what advice are you giving people, right?
yeah.
If I, this is dropping on New Year's Eve. So, a lot of people
Yeah.
are, right? This is the day that they're like, let me make my New Year's resolution. So, if
Mm,
your New Year's resolution or your goal for 2026 is, I need to make more friends, I need to get more connections, I need to get out in real life,
good one.
what are we telling them, Jenna?
This is really timely, and this is probably advice that a lot of people don't hear when it comes to making friends. But as an adult, making friends is very heavily time management and being better about
I
managing your
agree.
time. It's
Yes.
not about going out to all the clubs and, meeting as many people as you can. It's going and actually making friends, and that requires your time and attention and dedication to getting to know another person. And
Yeah.
so um, the best advice I give people is, if you feel like your narrative in your head is, I'm too busy to go meet people, like I've got so much on my plate, really take a look at how you are spending your time.
Yeah.
Like, go a whole week and just, don't really pay attention to what's already on your schedule, but like what you actually did in your free time. And if a lot of that was scrolling online or maybe like binge watching a TV show, that is time that you could be spending meeting people and
Yeah.
maybe in the future doing those things with other people. And so I think it's really vital that we look at how we're spending our time and what time we can carve out for meeting other people. And in addition to that, too, creating me time. Like, this is also some advice that I work a lot on with clients because I have ADHD and a lot of my clients are neurodiverse. So we get overwhelmed very easily. And
Mm.
so I don't want them to like have a full day of work and then forcing themselves to go out when they're burnt out. Like, I don't want that. So the best thing is, protecting your self care and making one night a week, like maybe that's Wednesday night, it's Wednesday night for me, and having time to do whatever it is you want to, but make it intentionally about self care. It can be like playing video games, it could be doing a face mask and binge watching your show, but like give yourself that time to do that because then when you go out and are with other people, you're not so overwhelmed and you're like, I haven't had time for myself lately because you are giving yourself that time.
Yeah. It's the energy management.
Mm-hmm.
The other piece too that I'm going to invite myself to add is when you do go out to something, it's okay to give yourself a time limit too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
Like just because something is, come from 6:30 to 9:30 does not mean you need to shut down the party at 9:30. And I'm kind of thinking like from the networking piece of even, I'm going to go to this event or I'm going to go to this whatever, and my goal is just to talk to one person. Or I'm going to sign up, I'm going to go and register and check in, and then I'm going to leave because that's going to be my goal, is to just get to the front door as a
Perfect.
baby step, right? Like
Absolute baby steps. Yeah.
yeah, like it can be just baby steps if this is new to you, and or you're getting reacquainted to the world of connecting and networking. Is you don't have to go in there thinking like I'm going to come out with a new best friend, but it's just
Yeah.
baby steps to get yourself to the get yourself actually into the room.
Exactly. And I do work with a lot of clients who have social anxiety. And for those, I don't recommend they just, you know, push themselves out the door
Yeah,
and, like go over their own boundaries or step over their own boundaries, because
yeah,
for people with social anxiety, it's really important for them to feel safe. And what I want to do when I work with those clients is creating an environment for them, and a plan, like a pre-social plan is what we actually make together, to go out and get around people you're familiar with, you're comfortable with already, and maybe they have friends of friends they can introduce you
yeah,
to because you already have something that's familiar. And you go over your internal dialogue of, all the things that are blocking you from connecting with new people. Like, I'm going to say something so awkward and they're going to think I'm weird and blah, 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 blah. None of that really actually happens. Everyone's just thinking about themselves. And so it's
yes,
just
I know.
it really is. And like, you just need to create that environment that feels safe for them. And so that's what we work on first.
I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah.
I was in London last week, and it was
Yay.
lovely, and went to the Moko Museum. This actually ties in, but there was a show by Robbie Williams. And if you don't know his work, go check him out. And he's Robbie with an IE, but
Mhm.
his work is around what he calls radical honesty. And so I was just pulling up some of his pieces on my screen just so I could. He has a whole series on going to social events, and there's like a whole series of him looking in the mirror and like practicing what he's going to say at social events,
Yeah.
and then a whole series that my favorite is one. It's a picture of a group that says, "To be completely honest, I'm not sure if we're friends or if we've just been in the same room an awful lot in the last 15 years."
I
Right,
love
like
it.
those are the type of things he has, but a lot of what he talks about is that, right, in his art is how do you sit with yourself and get comfortable enough,
Yeah.
right, to go
Yeah,
to these events.
that's so
It's
funny.
great.
That last comment's really hilarious.
It's really good. I highly recommend. So go check out Robbie Williams.
I love it. I love it. Well, and it's that piece around like choose one question that you're going to open your conversations with. Just one question. Don't ask people what they do because that's like boring
Yeah,
AF.
because people are
But
more than their jobs, as we've
they are,
established.
exactly. And you can prep for these things. It doesn't have to be like off the cuff, and I don't know,
Yeah.
just like you don't have to spin yourself into into anxiety over going. You can actually do things to get yourself in that headspace to go and connect.
Yeah, and then once you are and once you do, it feels so good to find people
I
that support
know.
you and, like, make you feel connected and make you feel belonging. Like, that's one of the best feelings in the world, and so I just want other people to experience that.
Well, and it's about finding your people. Like you might go to an event and talk to somebody and be like, "Oh God, like
Mm.
that's just not like that's a no," and it's okay.
Yeah.
Right? You mix and you mingle and you cruise around and
And
you
it's
find. It's
interesting just
about
how
finding
many
your people.
people Oh, sorry. It's
Oh,
interesting
that's
just how
okay.
many people see that as rejection when
I
they aren't
know.
connecting with somebody else and they're thinking that something's wrong with them, because it's not. It's usually just
No.
like you guys aren't vibing, and that's just the
Yeah.
situation itself, and it has nothing to do with you because you had no control of how this person was raised and how they treat other people. You just move on. You go find so many other
I
people.
love
There's
it.
billions of people in this world. So
I love it. Oh my God. This is such a great conversation to have right before I'm going to exactly do this tomorrow morning. So you can think about me at 7:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time because I'm doing it. I'm showing up.
amazing. Can I give you some
Showing
advice?
up.
Would you
Sure.
like some advice?
All
So
right.
the number one thing that people slip up on when they go to meet new people is not knowing what to
Mhm.
do after that. So, like, let's say tomorrow at 7 a.m., wherever you're
Yep.
going, and you meet somebody
Okay.
who you just really connected with and hit off, the first thing you want to do is get their number.
Okay.
This is
Oh,
some
okay. I can do that.
but this is some basic. So let's move forward. You're gonna get their number,
Okay.
and before you leave, say like it was so great connecting. I'll text you. You don't even have to say like let's hang out and immediately make that happen yet
Okay.
because this is someone you just met.
Okay.
And then within the day, you don't wait till the next day. You're not dating somebody. You're not playing the weird game where we want them to think about you. Like literally the day of, text and be like, "Hey, person you met, I had so much fun talking to you about a specific topic that you were talking about. Like get specific
Okay.
like note take on something that they said,
Okay.
and then look through that conversation, and maybe you both were talking about how you'd love to try this new cafe that just opened around the corner or something. So
Okay.
like, I just heard this cafe open around the corner and I was thinking about going next week, like sometime in the morning. Do you want to join me? And the
Love it.
reason for you want to specifically give an activity, a date, and a time because as adults, we have so much going on in our head in terms of scheduling that if you give us a specific time to say yes or no to, it makes it so much easier. Instead of just a vague, like, let's hang out sometime. It will never happen if you just say, let's hang out sometime.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
love
So
it.
get real specific. I have like templates of exactly how to say this on my TikTok videos. So I'm happy to send it
Okay.
to
I
you.
love it. Okay. I love it. I'll do it.
Yay.
I'm all in.
Great.
There we go. Now Christine is all set, so we have to wait till our next episode. That'll be just Christine and I. So we'll have to
Oh,
touch
I can give
base
an
and
update.
see kind of how she did at this.
Maybe I'll get a hot date.
A hot friend date.
Maybe.
Hot friend date?
Hot friend date, a hot
You
date,
never
any of the
know.
above.
You
All
never
right.
know.
This has been so much fun, Jenna.
Yeah,
I
this was a
loved
good
this
one.
conversation. So much great advice for all of our listeners for the new year. So, we always like to end our podcast with some fun rapid fire questions. All right,
Okay,
Christine,
go
do you
for
want to
it. Yeah,
jump in
shoot.
for them or do you want me to?
No,
Okay.
I'm ready.
All right.
Oh wait, am I asking?
Oh no, I was waiting to say I didn't know if Christine was going or if I was
Oh,
going.
you
Oh,
go
okay.
because
Am I asking
I.
questions?
No,
Look
you
at
go
us.
ahead.
We're a little hot mess at this moment. Okay, so
That's
all right,
okay.
we'll start
I'm
with the
thinking
easy
about the
one.
conversation.
All right. So we're going to start with the easier one, I think, which is heels or sneakers.
Oh my, actually, sneakers.
Agreed.
Fashionable
100%.
ones.
Yeah. All right. What are you bringing to a potluck?
Something baked, like a baked good. Really
Yum.
good banana bread. Yeah.
Excellent. All right. So what's your go-to like pump up song? Like if you have to get yourself, I need to get going. Like what are you playing on your Spotify
It's
mix?
You Get What You Give by the Free Radicals. It is
Nice.
a song from the early 2000s, but I remember listening to it in London, and every time I listen to it, it makes me happy.
All right. What emoji are you using the most these days?
I love the upside down smiley face, ironically.
Very good. All right. And let's see, our last one for today. If you were going to get a new tattoo or a tattoo, what would it be?
Okay, so this is gonna sound kind of stupid, but it comes with a
Never.
story. So I have dyslexia, and when you have dyslexia, you confuse pretty much like everything all the time, but mainly like words in writing and also like your left and right sometimes. And so I really want to get a L and an R on my left wrist and my right wrist because when someone tells me left or right, I do something physical and I'm like, okay, like right,
Yep.
left. And if it's on my wrists, it's just a reminder, not just because I don't know my rights and lefts, but it's because like dyslexia is a part of me and I've grown up with it my whole life. And it's a reminder that, it's a part of me and I have to respect it and not feel shamed by it. So
Love it.
Love it. That is so
That's so
fantastic.
great.
Such a great conversation today, Jenna. So we know you're
Yes,
on
fun.
TikTok. So where can our listeners find you? So
yes, so I am on TikTok. My handle is my friend Jenna. I'm also over on Instagram with the same handle. Getting my followers up on that one. I took a little short break posting for the holidays just to, again, be with my family and exist in the real world. And so I will
Love
be
it.
back posting start of the new year. So you can find me there. And I also have a website at myfriendjenna.com.
I love
That's
it.
such a great, that's a great handle, Jenna. That's
Because
so suited for you.
if you're like lonely and you say it out
I
loud, you can
love
say, "Oh, it's
it.
my friend Jenna," and so that's why I made it.
That's
I
awesome.
love
Oh
it.
my
It's
God.
also how I
What a
found you on TikTok. It was so great.
fun conversation. Thank you for being our guest.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. This is so great.
All right. So, listeners, Christine and I have something fun happening at the end of this month. So, if you are someone who is you're starting to figure out your goals for 2026, or maybe you haven't figured out and you just need that pathway, we are hosting some events. We have one in Vancouver, we have one in
Mhm.
Massachusetts, and we have two that are virtually happening at the end of the month. So check out the show notes or go hit us up on LinkedIn or TikTok or Instagram, and you can register for those events. Like we said, two in person and two virtual, and we will get you
Yeah.
all set for the new
Come and
year,
meet and come and meet a new friend.
right?
Yeah.
Particularly if you can get to right Northampton, Mass or Vancouver.
Or
So,
Vancouver.
all right. Well, thanks so much, everybody. We are so excited for 2026 and what it's going to bring. And thank you for being our guest today, Jenna.
Thank you for having me.
Is it time for you to add a little squiggle to your career? Join us every week to hear from another guest talk about how they embrace the squiggle.
Subscribe now and find your inspiration.